Oh, folks, we're back. Oh, didn't do it. I spoke to Janet Phelan, and she agreed to be my sounding board. I've got lots and lots to say. Janet, are you there?
I certainly am, Barry.
All right, you're my sounding board. I have a... You were there. You heard me. You heard me in the midst of it. I didn't know if my files would be saved. I would be washed up. This is the computer industry. It turns out that, what do you know? What Microsoft no longer supports either, what am I, Excel, whatever it was, they stopped supporting it a year ago. What a great way to sell computers. But what I don't get, how can they leave you standing naked in the wind like this? And I found out these bombers were from the right. All right? Forget the computer industry. There's a tiny group. We're talking 50 people. They put me on their list for like the 5th time. Every time I say, I don't want anything to do with you. You're a bunch of extremists. That's not me. Go away. And they promise they'll go away, and they don't go away. And I end up fighting back because I'm bombarded. The fact of the matter is they're very lonely people. They are very, very unheard. And no one gives a damn. And they want me on their side? I'll never be on their side. I don't relate to them one bit. Now, you related to my, not blogger, bombers. 6,000 a day. All right? What do you say about that? They're from a right-wing group of extremists. You got to react.
What kind of extremists? What is the issue that they're being extreme about?
Oh, my God. I'm not even going to answer that. Right-wing is very, very straightforward. They're extreme about everything. All right, I'm going on to the next thing, okay? The fact is, for 5 days, beginning Friday and ending today at Tuesday, I didn't know if I would be, if I'd be around. They took my life away. They succeeded. Now, I had to phone my server, which happens to be in Israel, get them to do something about this, whatever is causing this, put an end to it. The one good thing, and the only good thing, is my Hebrew is still pretty good. I haven't lost everything. But the bad thing is net vision is horrible. Absolutely horrible. I was on the phone listening to the recording telling me to wait. The time I spent waiting was 10 times longer than the time I spent talking. It costs a lot of money to phone Israel to get this settled, but it turns out they're people, they're not experts. They tell me, run your anti-spam. I ran it. It made no difference. It turns out you can't turn to your server. I had to take the computer in. Oh, bless you, Stephen, Jim. You scared the living daylights out of me. Health-wise, I haven't recovered. I still have to get my health back. Not to mention I have to figure out, how do I get my printer to work? How do I get... Well, we'll figure out Skype. We'll figure out these things one by one. They shut me down, and I was supposed to be shut down forever and ever. Now, I want to add one thing. I have a good friend who came to my home from New York and left me a computer. he turned on the computer while he was here and knocked out my files. They were on an external drive, and walked out. And I was not happy at all. I took the computer into the shop. It did the same thing. It was a defective computer in Excel. But I'm looking at his screen, and I'm playing with his keyboard. David, I know you meant well, and it did save me some money, so thank you for that. Are you following me, Janice?
I think so.
In short, without good friends, now this is important, really good friends, Herman's got to be the best. You know what? When I was in the lowest of my low, he saved my sanity. All right? He kept insisting on giving me money to pay for the new computer. I said, Herman, that's not what I'm calling. I want to hear you. Listen, I was drinking beer. Anything to calm down. I was in a terrible state. And you know what? He did save my sanity. And I had people saving my sanity even where I live in Florida. George, we went out to dinner. That saved my sanity. And you know what else? When I opened up my new computer, and by the way, you think it's easy to put in a new computer? By the way, it's not. The first two emails, they also saved my sanity. They were from two mics. The first emails were, we have sent you a donation. Please send, well, in this case, I have very few copies. These will be the last. They were sent from Israel by Bob, Rabbi Antelman's Volume 2 to eliminate the opiates. They get them immediately, and we're running out. I gave it only to the most special and American people, because if you send a book abroad, Hans is a good friend of mine, and I sent one to him. It costs $23. That's what it costs for a book. You better be darn sure they're going to pay for it, or you can 5 books, $100. So, in short, I sent to close American friends. One American friend put in my monitor and my keyboard without knowing, almost destroyed my files. But you know what? They told me Windows doesn't support any more my Eudora, and I just had nowhere to turn. I went to other computer people. They said the same thing, and God bless them. They saved my files. After this, everything is minor. Nonetheless, I was bombed. But what does bombing mean? 6,000 emails from Mexico in a day. And I know who did it. But NetVision was wrong. I ran a computer, virus check. This was stronger than that. I now have a Windows 10, and who knows what, but it's a lot of work getting back to the way it was. Janet, how are you?
Well, I feel your pain, actually. As I may have mentioned in one of our conversations, I have 3 busted laptops in my house, none of which work. And
well, what happened to them?
Well, very strange things have happened to them. I come home and one's all smashed up. It's the screen's smashed, everything's all smashed up.
I thought it smash them. All you have to do is get into your program, run a bomb, and you're finished. Why smash them?
You go tell my little friends that. So one of them was taken down that way. Another one, I just come home and I open it up and nothing, and it just doesn't work anymore. After I'd had it like 2 months. So I've brought things in to be fixed, but at this point,
you didn't have to touch them. Look, let me explain. If I'm using you as I'm deliberately, and I warned you, I have so much frustration from the last 5 days. They were the worst 5 days of my life. Everything I did for 30 years, down the tube. They're not supported. You're in trouble. Start again, like I'm 4 years old. Let's do childhood and start again from there. Somehow or another, today, Tuesday, I got a keyboard with a monitor and a computer, and one way or another, I'm back to normal. It wasn't cheap. That's another thing. It's not like I'm overturning the worst. I'm not a rich guy. I'm struggling with my writing. I have been my whole life. I have a brand new computer. Don't know how it works. Don't know how anything gets put back in it. I don't even know how to make a capital letter on this computer. It's that bad, but at least I have my files. There, I said it.
Well, I'm glad you have your files, because we know that files are about as important as things can be. So, right, I understand.
I backed up everything. I backed up on Flashback. I backed up on 2 different email programs. It doesn't matter. They don't support it anymore. Nobody supports the program. I found people who would support it. I did what I was supposed to do. Luckily, I did what I was supposed to do, and we got it back. How can you explain a system that leaves millions of people who bought into it so darn vulnerable? How do you explain that?
Well, they want you to buy an upgrade, I guess. Right?
Well, that goes without saying, but neither is there. What gives them the right to say no more? All the saving you've been doing is worth shit. We don't give a damn about you. Listen, this is not business practice as I knew it. You bought into it, you get some protection. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
I understand. As I'd mentioned to you before, my website has also been hacked, and I have no website anymore.
By the way, you go into BarryChamish.com, go into Google BarryChamish.com, and you will see this website may be hacked. I have a friend in California who is looking, I hope, is looking into some way to put an end to this too. You know, I should be proud, all right, that they go to this much trouble to harass and make me illegitimate. This much trouble. I lost you?
No, I'm here.
Okay. That's all. Look, it's a justification, but a bad one. A very, very bad one. Look, the fact I opened up my emails, because of the radio show, I'm not pursuing them, but the first came from Geffen Books. They want to look at my new book. It's called Labor Zionism, No Holocaust. And that's exactly what it's going to be about. Then I get my first emails. It's breaking all the stuff that was done to this Fardeen, and this by Paris in the 50s, head of the Atomic Energy Commission. It's coming out. And people would write me and say, you know what? Without you keeping this going, it would never, ever have been saved. I'm getting recognition that way. But my goodness, what has been done to me? Holy, holy moly. You there?
I'm here.
Just about
so the title of the book is Labor Zionism, No Holocaust. What's the central thesis of the book?
The central thesis is if a deal hadn't been cut between the labor Zionists to get their Israel and the Nazis, maybe they would have thought twice. There, I gave you the thesis.
Okay. I look forward to reading it, Barry.
I'm not sure I can even, you know what? I don't even know how to download my files. All right? I'm going to have to, I will write them and say it's going to take a while. But, you know, I've got this lecture on the internet with John Wells. As a matter of fact, just go to Google, write in Barry Chamish, poop. It's the Pope of Rome. Just write in Barry Chamish poop and listen to that lecture. I wrote them and I said my thesis was in that interview I did with John Wells. What we have going for us was an enemy from within. And it's a horrible thing to recognize. Horrible! Who wants to know this? But I found it out. I wasn't the only one, by the way, who found it out. That's the whole problem. The transfer agreement by Black, you know what? Maybe of his 800 pages, 50 were on this. But he found it out. There was a deal cut with the Nazis. And then, of course, there's a whole bunch of them. The best, of course, is oh my goodness, what's the word for betrayal? My mind isn't what it should be this week. Ben Hecht, yes, that's perfidy. That was about the trial in the 1950s. In short,
I recently read Eichmann in Jerusalem by Hannah Arendt.
She wrote, and what did she conclude?
Well, there was an awful lot going on in that book, but one of the things that stunned me about it was how when the Nazis would move into a particular area, Eichmann would contact the Jewish leadership, the leadership in that community, and get them on board with shipping off the flock to the concentration camps.
Oh, that's
talk about it. Talk about enemy. Talk about enemies from within.
You got that wrong. Eichmann was in Palestine, what became Israel in 1937. No one was getting shipped off to camps. That's not what happened. All right. No one got shipped off to camps. Of course not. It was 1937.
I'm not talking about 1937. I'm talking about what Hannah Arendt was reporting in her book.
It was in Israel on a kibbutz, believe it or not. He was having the time of his life. Kessler was the Jewish agency, let's just say, ambassador to Eichmann. He went to Germany in 1944, and he dressed like an SS officer and went to camps, saved 3,000 of his own friends. Hannah Arendt, I know her book. I should stress it more, but you've got the thesis all wrong. Eichmann came in 1937. Kessler came in 1944.
No. Eichmann was still operative in the early 1940s. He was still operative. That's what I'm talking about.
Who? He was not.
Eichmann?
He was out of Palestine in 1937. Look, I don't want to go through
not according to that book, he wasn't.
That book is wrong. He spent 2 months in 1937 on a... Look, I'm not talking about him being in Israel. The Eichmann in Jerusalem is about the trial. It's about his trial, Eichmann's trial in Jerusalem. I'm sorry if there was a misunderstanding. Finally. All right. They shut him up into a soundproof booth so he wouldn't open his mouth. Yeah. The only Nazi ever convicted in Israel. The only one.
The only one, right.
Yeah, that's else. All right. Look, that's what I'm going to write about in this book. But I'm not even sure I can find files. Okay? It's that simple. I will be able to. It's just a matter of time. But that's the book. No labor Zionism, no Holocaust. They got rid of political opponents. And they said, this is, by the way, Weizmann, who became the first president of Israel. perhaps there is a, he used the word Holocaust, there is a great Holocaust coming. Perhaps 2 million Jews will survive. They'll be strong and good for Israel. The rest can go to hell. It's just an awful, awful story. I don't even know if I can handle this stuff, but I should be flattered. People are trying to shut me up every which way. What do you say to that?
I say take it as a badge of honor.
It's the only way I can. Okay? You know what Herman was a friend when I needed him this week. He said, Solzhenitsyn, he wrote his great works when he was young, and he lived on the reputation the rest of his life. He said, just view yourself that way. And you know what? If my files were gone and I couldn't write anymore, I could live with that. Could be worse, I think. I like to write, though. And I have a book offer. There. That's all.
Congratulations. Congratulations, Barry. I think that's wonderful.
I don't know if I've got the strength anymore. I'm an old, worn-out man right now. I'm telling you seriously, these 5 days took the toll. I mean, when I was young, I could take the worst of it. It's harder now. Everything's harder now.
It is when you get older. I think we're the same age, and it does get harder. But I think our spirit gets sort of purified through travail. I believe that.
All I ever wanted to do. You think the business with the Sephardim? Every Sephardic child, the works were taken out of schools. Their heads were shaved, and they were blasted with gamma rays. All of them. Ashkenazi kids weren't touched. Look, what people are writing me was this a Nazi Holocaust in Israel? I never reached that conclusion, but Lord Almighty, what a history, and now it's coming out because we didn't face up to it. There were answers. You have to face the truth, and it's coming out now. Now, why they chose me is apparently I did such a great job on Rabin, they couldn't succeed the same way, and their leadership approached me. What are you doing right that we're not? And I agreed to listen to them and help in any way I could. That's what happened.
Well, I'm still not sure who these right wingers are or who they represent. And I did ask that, but I didn't get resolution.
They represent the far right. They hate niggers. They hate everybody that's not them. What are you talking about?
The far right in Israel, the far right in the U.S., I think that there are delineations that are a bit different.
Believe me, I know this better than you do, all right? And
that's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking the question.
And don't tell me about right-wing extremists. They are people who despise anyone who isn't them. Oh, gosh almighty. We've got a race war in this country. You know what? I'm not even going through this. This isn't my business. And that is the world's dumbest observation I've ever heard. All right, let's go back to the main... Oh, we have a 3-minute break, and I'm going to stay with the same thing. They hate everyone. They hate Jews. Oh, Lord, are they a bunch of anti-Semitic sons of bitches. They hate everybody who isn't them. There. We have a 3-minute break. We'll be back shortly, folks. We'll plug each other.
Since the beginning of time, kings have sought it, nations have fought for it. It has been traded, it has been borrowed, it has been purchased. It has been stolen. There's a reason for it. To secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and to our posterity, invest with the security of gold and silver. Call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188 or visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net. Listen to Financial Survival with your host Melody Cedarstrom right here on FirstAmendmentRadio.com at 4 p.m. Eastern or 1 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit discountgoldandsilvertrading.net or call Discount Gold and Silver Trading at 1-800-375-4188. Toll free 1-800-375-4188.
The book of Revelation says, "The spirit of prophecy is the testimony of Jesus Christ." This is at the very heart of FirstAmendmentRadio.com. In that spirit, we have created the Prophecy Reality News app for all of your mobile devices, streaming First Amendment Radio 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Available for your Apple, Android device, and smartphone, absolutely free. Get the Prophecy Reality News app installed today, so you can listen to First Amendment Radio wherever you are. The Prophecy Reality News app. Get it now. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
I know you all want answers, and believe me, so do I, and I'll do my best to get them.
Despite Nicolas Cage's promise to do his best to get left behind rapture answers for us, don't hold your breath. Not everyone believes Left Behind is true prophecy. Some may even regard as conspiratorial the mainstream re-release of the Left Behind movie with actor Nicolas Cage portraying the main character as an attempt to further reinforce in the minds of all this perception of false prophecy in order to condition the masses for the play about to begin. If you want true Bible prophecy answers, get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. The author exposes the Latin rapture origin, the 7-year tribulation deception, true Bible revelation of Daniel's 70 weeks, the abomination of desolation, the restrainer, America in the Revelation, the image of the beast and the mark of the beast, and the truth about God's chosen people, and so much more about Bible prophecy. This book will shatter the left behind paradigm of future events. Get the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. Visit crosstheborder.org, CROSS, crosstheborder.org, to get your print, EPUB, or PDF version of the book, The Rapture Will Be Canceled. That's crosstheborder.org.
And if I have the energy, I will write the publisher. They want my bio, they want an outline, they want all the stuff that 40 years ago was easy. Now it's all in my head, and it's actually very, very simple. Yes, there was the business. Eichmann went to a kibbutz, had the time of his life. The Jewish agency sent their representative to Eichmann. Eichmann said, I don't want to kill these people. 500,000 people or more. He said, you know what? I need 700 trucks to get the loot out. You give me those trucks, they're saved, all of them. And, well, the answer to Kessler was, nah, I've got a list of 3,000. You save them. The rest can go to hell. And they did, in the camps. Auschwitz, by the way, was Hungary's primary death camp. That was actually happening with a representative of the Jewish agency about to become Israel. They were having fun together. They were planning this crap together. That's what my book is about. Look, first of all, here's how to get my books. For all of this, well, go to lulu.com. That's www.lulu.com. You'll see a little search box right in my last name, Chamish. I've got an old friend in California who's going to try and fix up my website. By the way, it really is not hacked, but the message is, you go there, it's hacked. It's not. The fact of the matter is, Mr. Goldberg, please save me. All right, www.barrychamish.com. All right, Janet, plug yourself. Janet? Last chance, Janet? Well, one thing I sure never did is abandon a radio show. And I think that's what just happened. Look, the fact of the matter is, I'm going to tell you what I think is happening in America. It's really, really rolling into a horrible, horrible race war. This week in Chicago, on Mother's Day, there were 8 dead and dozens wounded. Look, the police in America don't know what to do with anything. They really don't. It's out of control. Now, I live in a very quiet, nice town. And frankly, it couldn't be nicer. It really couldn't. But in the last 3 weeks, we've had, let's say, half a dozen shot dead, maybe twice as many wounded. It's everywhere. And it's really, really scary. All right? Now, I have a weird example. And hear me out here. It's a strange example, but I'm seeing how this thing is being revved up. And it's got to stop, frankly. You know, there's a show I always liked on TV called Family Feud. I watched it for the last 25 years. Now, what it's become, changed the name of Family Feud to Race War. And here is Family Feud today. Now, normally you just guess dumb questions and you try for a car. All right? This time, invariably, you have got yourself white against black. Every time, practically. It used to be, well, you know, random. It reflected your society. Not anymore. What you have now, you're rooting for your race. And that is something that should not be on popular TV. But you've got this issue where the guy's name is Steve Harvey, and he relates to the black contestants. He relates culturally. You can see he's rooting for them as much as he tries to hide it. And what do you get? Go whites, go blacks, go, depending on who you are. This is just we shouldn't be having this. We really should not be having a game show where you're rooting for white against black. You've got that? It's a scary situation. But I'm keeping my mouth shut. I see it coming a mile off. I see, oh, Nancy was so good. In her way, Now, it's not to say I agree with everything she said, but in her way, she got her facts good and right. Now, whether they're relevant, you decide. You go to Packram Bay. And as a matter of fact, we are listed for a week on libertyarchives.com. If you miss her address, you can hear it on her interview. Now, what worries me very much is this a breakdown in America, and this election is just part of the breakdown. Now, I don't want to say anything, and who knows why I was bombed, but my emails were bombed, and frankly, you don't do that to every damn person on earth. It's a very sophisticated system of knocking you out. And it was used on them, and not for the first time, by the way. And my website, it may be hacked. I can't do my stuff freely. I have no freedom. I watch for everything because I know something's going to come up. And I've been living this life for a long time. Now, let me give you an example, a very human example. My friend, at the height of our intellectual abilities, and you're talking about two guys in there. Well, he was in his early 30s. I was in my early 40s. We were writing, well, back then, newsletters were the internet of the time. We'd have to go to the print. We had to write them, first of all, go to the printer. Then they would come out, and then we would stuff them in envelopes. Then we send them to our readers. It was a process. But we were saying things that, what can I tell you? They weren't allowed to be said. Now, in the case of Joel, he was researching the very, very first book on the Bush family crimes. And he went to Washington. The guy's name, what was his name? Lynn Mars. I forget his name. Don't worry. My mind is not what it used to be, but I can find it fast enough. Nonetheless, he's having an interview, and the journalist says to him, "You look much better in a tie." So, Joel is just a reporter. He wants some facts, and he's not going to refuse. He says, "Okay, maybe I would." And a tie is put around his neck. 3 hours later, whatever's in his neck chokes up and he can't breathe. He phones Israel and says something is very wrong. I'm not feeling normal. I'm coming back as fast as I can. And he did. Unfortunately, he had cancer within a couple of months, all through his neck. I have to live with these awful facts in my life. Awful. Now, we'll get back to his son who visited me, but I want to tell you another one. The mother of my children, was driving around about, I'd say a year ago. I found out through my daughter what happened, and then from her car exploded. All right? Just boom, and then on fire. And they took it as something natural. This is something that happens. And I took it, whose car explodes? All right? Why did I come to America in the first place? Because of something that happened in my car that almost killed me. And I just didn't want to go too far with this. But it was somebody was pissed off, or somebody was giving a warning. But cars don't explode. They break down. That's feasible, but they don't explode. Hers did. Joel had cancer at age 33. He died at 53. The life I've been living has been fraught with these things. You're not supposed to be honest in your journalism. That is a given. And everyone, but everyone is affected. Now, I had a compliment come in my life. Joel's son was not in my town. He was in Orlando. He drove an hour and a half there, an hour and a half, 3 hours to see me for an hour, just to meet his father's partner. Now, I did the best I could for him. You know, I gave him a book in Hebrew called Hatzilu et Yisrael, Save Israel. I gave him a bunch of DVDs, as much as I could to make him grateful that he came up to see me. What a handsome, intelligent young boy. And he came all the way to see me. That's what happened to me. Our site sticks together in the sense that we're not rotten and we're not whistleblowers. I hate that terminology. It doesn't fit. We're not conspiracy theorists. We were very honest journalists. Anything to snuff us out. Anything. We weren't that. And I told Jonathan that. Your father was honest. He never wrote a word that was a lie. Never. It's against his philosophy. It's against our philosophy. Now, he was at the end of his life, I would he would phone me, and he was running. He was in Cyprus living, without going into the reasons why, it's probably nobody's business. But he moved from Israel to Cyprus. He was buried in Israel. He came back when it was clear he wasn't going to live for a long time more. And he had cancer all through his body. And he died young, and he phoned me. I've never been broken up, not even by my father's or mother's death. I knew it was coming. He was a young man. That shouldn't have happened. It shouldn't have. I was broken up about it. The fact of the matter is, my life hasn't been normal. And all I've done, and I'm going to say this again, I say it over and over again, the previous guest is trying to justify these people are stirring up hatred. And they got to me. All right, I admit it. I was hit, and I was hit hard. There is no justifying this. I wanted away from them. I didn't want to deal with them. And they just kept spamming and spamming and spamming. I never read a word of this after I got the first messages. Oh, how they hate Jews. All right? Oh, how they hate the kikes. And every Jew is a thief and this and that. You think I want to read this? Same with blacks. And instead of every kike is every nigger. It doesn't matter. They're stirring up absolute hatred. And who the hell wants to be associated with people like that? And fortunately, there aren't that many. The list was maybe 50 people. But what was found was a Trojan virus. It was, let's just say, if it's not proof positive, it was pretty darn good proof that they bombed me. If you don't support them, if you don't want anything to do with them, they'll go after you. It's that simple. They'll go after you. The previous guest justified this kind of fanatical hatred. And I'm worried sick about my little America. I chose to live. My mother's American. She was born in New York. It's a long story. My family is mostly American. I ended up in Canada. Don't ask how. I suppose I should be thankful I learned things when I was in Canada, but it was way too small for me. The mentality was too small for me. At an early age, I moved to Israel. I was 21, and then the car accident. Boy, they directed me to a party where I could sell my books. I went up the hill to this party to sell my books. They directed me down to the road in a smash. To this day, one shoulder, let's just say I almost died. And then I knew I got to get the hell out of this damn Israel. It's a really dangerous place. The problem is the people aren't dangerous. The majority know nothing about it. And the majority have somehow kept a myth going. That myth is breaking down. You've got to face reality. There's no choice. You can't avoid it. It won't make us weaker. It's hiding from it that makes us weaker. Much, much weaker. It's such an obvious message. Joel didn't hate Israel. He moved there from Toronto. He was proud to be Israeli. We're not talking about people who hate Israel. We're talking about people who love Israel. Rabbi Antelman, I'm giving away his last books to really special people who keep me going. He loved Israel. These people who reported honestly loved Israel. You know, they can be called, right-wing Zionists or Likud or Irgun Zionists or religious Zionists, but they weren't labor Zionists, that's for sure, because they really, really didn't like Jews. And this is the book that I'm going, if I can sort out technology, I will send to the publisher. No labor Zionism, no Holocaust. I believe Eichmann was in Israel on a kibbutz checking out a deal, a horrible deal. And I believe Kessler was in Hungary adding to the deal. It's a story that if the Jews, if we never had labor Zionism, we maybe, then that, there was, okay, let me go backwards. You listen to my interview, go to Google, and then type in Barry Chamish. Let's say labor Zionism poop YouTube. That'll get you to the lecture. What it involves is a horrible possibility that the FDR organized a convention in Evian, France. 38 countries were involved, all to save the Jews. Golda Meir was the only representative of the Jewish agency. We don't know why she was there. That was pretty well hidden. But after that, a ship called the St. Louis, with 1,500 Jews, let's say, left Europe to save their lives. They were turned back, and not just from America and Canada. They were turned back from Cuba. They were forced to go back to Europe to their deaths. This story is dreadful, and unfortunately, so unfortunately, over time, without purpose, I wasn't looking for this. Over time, I got it, whether I wanted to or not. All right? As for extremism, I'm not extreme. You know what? I was thinking, do I take revenge on these extremists? I said, no, it's not for. This isn't my world. I just don't want them in my life. It doesn't mean I have to react to everything. Figure out what to do. But my life has not been a life of extremism. There are extremists out there. And unfortunately, you've got an election that's got all kinds of sides that are darn fanatical. And Nancy came on the show, and she did a pretty good job. Let's just say it's not an election, okay? It's not a free democracy. I don't give a damn about this election. And I kind of make fun of it when anyone asks. I kind of make fun of it. It's not the real thing. What we have, I'm in America where I should have been born in the first place. My mother was born in Brooklyn, but I wasn't. For some reason, her parents took her to Canada. That's where I was born. I don't regret it, all right? I don't regret it. But mentality-wise, it wasn't me. It truly wasn't me, and I ended back in America. But the fact is, I'm watching crime in really a crime-free city. Decent people everywhere, but it's exploding. And once again, there are elements exploding it. And I'm not writing about it. I'm glad the previous guests went away. I have a lot to say. I've got to start my life over again. The computer, I can't even do a capital letter, let alone sort of my life. But the fact of the matter is I have to. Everything done to me, I have to react to. There's no choice. One day my computer wouldn't start. The system wouldn't open up my main system. I take it into the shop. The hard drive is fried. You've been bombed. That's it. After 5 days, my life was saved. It wasn't known if it would be. For 5 days, I didn't know. Folks, I picked up the American habit of beer when you're nervous. Not a lot, no more than, let's say, 3-4 a day, but it's the only way I could face life for 5 days. I didn't know if anything I've been doing for 25 years was saved. Thank you, geniuses who managed to save my files. And you're talking to a person right now who had one heck of a week. All right, one beaut of a week. And it's not going to end. I don't know when the next one's going to hit again. That's the life I live. But you know what? I'm luckier than other people. They didn't have a very long life. That's all I can say. I've lost some people who should still be around. What was their crime? They were reporting honestly. And there's a price for that. You don't live long. You're on the run. Look, folks, get all my books at lulu.com. That's www.lulu.com. There's a search box right in Barry Chamish. It'll get you to the books. There's 9 of them. And the website, well, all I can say is Mr. Goldberg, Ari, if you can do anything, it looks like my webmaster isn't. That's my sad state today. But folks, I got saved, and I want to thank everyone who's keeping up and supporting me. It couldn't happen, none of this, without you. Thank you, folks. I'll see you next week with the Libertarian from England. Night all, folks. I hope the show went well. Night all, folks.
The program you are listening to is 100% sponsored by you, the listener, on this First Amendment Rights Media channel. You will notice that there are few commercials on this radio network. There's a good reason for that. Corporate advertising dollars come with strings that limit program content. So without your help, these programs cannot continue on internet or our several affiliates. If you benefit by the educational law programs, we ask you to give. If you are admonished or nurtured by the Bible and ministry programs, we ask you to give. If some voice a cause that you are passionate about, we ask you to give. If you believe in any of these, we ask you to support them as you would a missionary on a continual basis, as if giving a tithe for missionary radio. These programs are not commercially viable and must be supported by those faithful to the cause of truth. Look for the button to sponsor your favorite programs at our listen and schedule pages on the internet. Then, when you subscribe, we will send you the last quarterly MP3 CD of that program immediately, and continue to do so with each new quarter. We will also give you unlimited archive access to all of our programs. We're asking you to give much less than a tithe, so that you may also send support directly to a particular program host, cause, and anywhere else the Spirit may lead you. Do all to the glory of our God and Creator, for His holy nation, the only kingdom that will last forever. Thank you for listening.